Imagine yourself having a conversation with your significant other over the color of the shoes you're supposed to wear in an upcoming special event. You'd prefer to wear black, but they'd prefer you to wear brown. And in order to reach a consensus here, you would decide to wear black on the right foot and brown on the left. Now, needless to say, this wouldn't be the best outcome in a real-life scenario. And if we take this even further in a business setting, in an interview setting, these types of compromise-friendly behaviors for candidates that are supposed to thrive on critical thinking is something that employers pay particular attention. So, just to say it one more time here, if critical thinking is something that you think is very important for your role, then you have to be very careful of not being too agreeable in a job interview. And I wanted to touch upon 3 scenarios that I find are the most representative to think of when it comes to agreeing and being too agreeable, maybe. The first scenario I want to talk about here is, agreeing for the sake of social cohesion. So, many people, are trying to be too likable in job interviews. And this, starts almost always in the beginning of the conversation, where, some people mistakenly think that they have to be likable in the rapport building phase of that interview. So this is the first key moment where you really want to ensure that you read the room, not the interviewer reads you in the first place. And you must really listen very careful on your interviewer to understand and to build a certain rapport with them, because that's very important for the upcoming events throughout the interview. So don't agree for the sake of social cohesion. The second scenario I want to talk about here is people naturally seek comfort, right? It's just normal that you want to have a more comfortable chair, you want to have a more comfortable experience in general, and the same goes in a supposedly stressful job interview. So some candidates have a tendency to agree for the sake of comfort, simply because they feel very uncomfortable in that setting. Say, yeah, okay, I'll give this to you, that's fine. When in fact, again, for jobs where critical thinking is something very important, this would be a rather deadly mistake. So try to also, I'm not telling you here to seek discomfort in a job interview, but but the idea is to stay strong in your head throughout the interview. Even if you have a tendency to spike at times, to think a lot, to think very fast, so on and so forth. If you think that you cannot keep on that level of intensiveness, then you can go one step lower, but don't go all the way down. That is to agree on whatever they say. And the third scenario I want to talk about here, and this is something I learned with time, and you really want to think about this carefully. If someone listens to you for an extended period of time, let's say 30 minutes, just for the simple fact that they listen to you for that long, will automatically create a certain trust between you and them. In other words, if they listen to you for half an hour, you will have a tendency to trust them even more than when you first met. Like, no matter how the conversation evolves, but the simple fact that there is an exchange of information and they listen to you for that long, that it's automatically will raise your trust level. And this is also when, where the tendency to be more agreeable is also coming as a natural thing. So these would be the three scenarios where I find, that most candidates have to be careful when being too agreeable. And in general, I think also an approach here to address this potential problem would be to show courage throughout the interview and to lead the interview, if you can, or if you want to exhibit that type of behavior. But I think the main takeaway here is to always be cautiously optimistic in a job interview.